Hi, I'm Beck and food's my life. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this. Today I'm making gnocchi. It's my nonna's recipe and it's coming right up. So everybody loves gnocchi, but sometimes I wonder, do people actually know what a good gnocchi is meant to taste like and feel like in your mouth? Because many times I've ordered gnocchi at a restaurant and it's just not right. It's either too stodgy or too tough. Good gnocchi needs to be really silky smooth in your mouth. It needs to melt in your mouth and it needs to be really soft. A lot of the gnocchi that you buy, especially in the supermarket, don't go anywhere near the pre-packeted gnocchi because it is rubbery and hard, and that is nothing like what gnocchi should be. So if you think you like gnocchi, that's fantastic, you're watching the right video. But once you've had this gnocchi, you'll know what true, authentic gnocchi should really taste like and feel like. Gnocchi is a very simple recipe. It only consists of a few ingredients, mainly potatoes, flour, eggs, salt, oil. But it's a very touchy, temperamental kind of recipe to make. Lots of factors come into play here. It depends on what potatoes are you using. What's the weather doing? Is there too much humidity? Even those sorts of things can have an impact on the outcome of your gnocchi. So it's a simple thing to do, but there's an art to doing it. And I hope I can do it some justice for you today. And you can see how easy it is, but it may take a couple of times practicing as you go to get it just right. So the first step is to boil your potatoes. In this pan of boiling water, I have 5 to 6 large red potatoes. That's the Desiree potatoes. They're the ones that my nonna used to use to make her gnocchi. It's important to note that I put these potatoes in just as the water was coming to a boil. When you're boiling your potatoes, you don't want to put potatoes that maybe have come from the fridge, so cold potatoes, straight into a vigorous boiling water. Because what's going to happen then is the skins might split. Now the trick to making good gnocchi is that we want to try and keep the potato flesh as dry as possible, which means we want the skins intact. If there's way too much water seeping in, it means that when we come over to the dough making stage, we're going to have to add more and more flour. The more and more flour you add, the more floury it's going to taste, and the tougher those little gnocchis are going to become. And we don't want tough gnocchi, we want soft, smooth gnocchi. So my potatoes are cooked right the way through now, and I've strained them at the sink. What I need to do now is peel off these skins while the potato is still hot, and then I need to mash them into my bowl. So now to my mashed potato, I'm going to add 1 lightly beaten egg. I'm going to make a bit of a well in the center, add my egg. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I'm going to carefully combine all these ingredients together. As I do this, I'm going to start adding to this mixture 1 1/4 cups of sifted plain flour. Just a little at a time, slowly incorporating the flour into the potato, because what we're trying to do now is we're going to make a dough. So my dough has come together, and now I'm going to flour my board and turn out the dough to give it a bit of a knead. At this stage, if your gnocchi is really sticky, you might need to add some more flour. But just remember, the more flour you add, the more of a flour taste you're going to have. And we don't want to really detract from that potato flavor. At this point too, I'm going to just sprinkle over about 1 more tablespoon worth of olive oil. And incorporate that in as I need it. I find the oil just helps to give my gnocchi a lovely silky texture. Okay, now comes the fun part. This is when we're going to roll our gnocchi. So what you need to do, first of all, is cut off a part of your dough. You're not going to use it all at once. So working with your small piece of dough, we're going to roll it into a thin, long shape. Okay, once you've got that, we're going to cut it into pieces, perhaps 2 centimeters. So now's the fun bit, and this is the bit that Nonna used to let me help her do when we got to this stage. It's rolling the gnocchi. Now often you'll see that some restaurants and cooks just leave it at that. They cook their gnocchi just like this. And to be honest, A, it doesn't look as pretty as a nice rolled piece of gnocchi, and the problem is this gnocchi will not hold the sauce. You want to make sure your gnocchi is rolled, and the reason why they rolled it in the first place is that all the sauce can find its way trapped into those little grooves and nooks and crannies to retain more flavour. It just makes sense. It looks good too. So Nonna just used to use a fork to roll her gnocchi, and the way she did this was she'd hold her fork up like this, she'd grab a piece, and just applying a little bit of pressure, she rolls it. And then you see you've got a pretty little pattern on top, and on the underside, you've got this little hole where all the sauce can get trapped. So once you've rolled your gnocchi, you need to keep it on a floured tea towel for it to rest while you're doing the rest. Now also, I might just mention at this point in time, I actually use a gnocchi board. I saw this out and about in a kitchen shop one day with all their little gadgets, and I went, oh, this is cool. So this takes the place of the fork. So again, holding my gnocchi board, taking my gnocchi, and with my thumb, as I roll down, apply pressure. Once again, you've got those beautiful grooves that are going to hold all the sauce, and on the underside, you've got that little pocket for all the sauce to be. So I'm just going to go ahead now and roll all my gnocchi. I love this part of making my gnocchi. This part is like the creative part, and as I've been rolling, I've been thinking to myself, I must roll the camera and just say a couple of more things to you guys. I guess the things I want to make really clear is when you're actually making the dough, it's really important to always have a light hand with the dough. The other thing is, please don't be lazy. This is lazy man's gnocchi. Nobody wants to eat this because there won't be much sauce on it. So don't forget to take the time and roll your gnocchi. The other tip is to always make sure that you're always working with a floured board or bench top, whatever you're choosing to use. And once you are leaving your gnocchi out to rest, just sprinkle a bit of flour over the top at that stage too. Never work with any surface that's not floured. Okay, now it's time to boil my gnocchi. So I've got a pan of boiling water here, and it's at a vigorous boil stage. I've got a handful of gnocchi that I'm wanting to boil, and I've got it on my slotted spoon here. I'm going to pop my gnocchi into the boiling water and very quickly put the lid back on. It's really important that you do that to keep the water at a vigorous boil. Because as soon as you put the gnocchi in there, you know the water's going to cool down slightly. We want to keep it nice and hot. Now the trick is to keep an eye on that gnocchi. As soon as it comes up and floats to the top, we know they're cooked. So you can retrieve your gnocchi and put it in your dish, waiting to add a lovely bolognese sauce. So I'm just having a little peek. And my gnocchi are coming up to the top. As you can see, they're up the top, so now they're ready to take out. All right, so we're just going to scoop those gnocchi out of the pan and pop it in a little dish. Now, I have a bit of bolognese sauce here that I have heated up. Now, if you want a really fabulous bolognese sauce to go with your gnocchi, you've got to check out my video on how to make my Nonna's bolognese sauce. It is so yummy and it works perfectly with this gnocchi. So I'm going to add a little bit of my sauce to my gnocchi and give that a mix so I can have a taste test. So if you're serving this for a bunch of friends and family, obviously a bit of parmesan on top will go down nicely. But it's about those gnocchis today. Let's see if I've got the consistency just right. I sure have. Nonna must be so proud of me, and Mum, because this is really Mum's, Mum's taught me this. She's taught me step by step what to do. And I'm so proud because these gnocchi are the best. They are so silky. You don't even have to chew them. You put them in your mouth and they just melt away, and you can just taste that potato, not flour. They're not stodgy. They're not ending up as mashed potato in my bowl. They're not chewy. They're just perfect. And this is the way gnocchi should be. So if you're not sure whether or not you've had a good gnocchi experience yet, then you need to make it yourself. You need to go to my website, find my website in the description box below, get onto my recipe, watch the video demo again, and do it for yourself so you know what real, authentic gnocchi should be. And don't forget to share my videos, like my videos, or better still, subscribe so you always know what I'm up to in the kitchen. And I'll see you next time.